So I tried to make a last video. It's my second time trying to make this video. So like I said, my brain has been illogically rationalizing things in order to make me subscribe to these things they do to me. Now, what they do is very systematic. It's funny how they like to say it's not fair, because it's fair that they do these things systematically, and they do this to women, children, men, and they do this same psychological torture even toward women, right? They do this pedophilia type of torture. It's what they do. They make you look at kids in these pedophilia ways. With me, like you heard last video, they are trying to say what we're doing is we're just making you think the way you would think if you were a kid around that age, around 13, or around 10 years old, around 9 years old. That's how that's what we're doing right now. We're just making you experience what you would experience if you're a kid. And they're just like, we mapped it. Now, obviously, you see how illogical that is, but that's not even true. What they're making me experience is stimulation and sensation that I wasn't even experiencing as a kid. But sometimes they go as far as a kid, as me as 9, 8 years old. Literally, they said, it's you when you were 8 years old. They gave me different type of sexual sensation, stimulation, and aiming toward these kids. And training my brain day in and day out to think like that. Dreams, stimulations, sensations, and then be like, oh, we mapped it. This is how you feel like when you were like that age, when you were a kid. Oh, no, don't remember. And then they manipulate my memories of me as a child. Now, this is something they do. They manipulate the thoughts to turn into pedophilia ways. But somehow they think that this illogical makes it even rational. This illogical sense makes it rational. Now, we linked it to you as a kid. What? So you're saying that you're making me think like me as a kid. So what you're saying that you're making me experience something that I have experienced when I was a child. And I was like saying, imagine you look at a grown man and woman with their kids. It's like, hey, you see what you're thinking right now? You never felt, oh yeah, when you were that age, you felt like that. And then they start coming with a tone of voices, right? Because the truth is, they know that. They manipulate your brain to think this way and then try to convince you that this is something you should accept in some ways, right? This technology is extremely sophisticated. It controls you in so many ways. It controls your brain. How in my regular brain, I would not. This would be so comical. I'll be laughing at it. But because my brain is manipulated to have a logic of a spectrum-like individual, this is really a battle. But it's humiliating for them in so many ways, because they do this pedophilia type of torture, and I've been validated by others saying the same thing. Matter of fact, almost all target individuals are forced to have child porn implanted in their mind. They've done it so many times. That's what they do. They bombarded me, especially early on, August 19, 2019. My brain was being trained so much more. Every day, pedophilia things, disgusting thoughts. Train my brain to think like that, and now it's lesser and lesser. Lesser and lesser. Before it was like, oh, the sensation. Did you feel like that when you're a kid and try to train? Like they're training your brain. And now it's less and less. Now it's less. Because it's less in the sense that they don't have to do as much. Because 4 years ago, they had to be intense. They gave me extremely sensation. This feeling I was getting in my stomach. This, like in my growing area. All of that was like extreme. And now they've been doing that for 4 years of not only that, but also making me have dreams, conditioning my brain. And then have the battles like, but how you felt like this, something like that when you're a kid? They just give me a feeling of something I felt. They would say like 8 years old. They were literally laughing. Now you felt like that when you were 8. They said that. They said 8 years old. So you understand. That's what they do. And then they were trying to make me, it's like, no, that's not, what? That's not real, like, it's not. It's like, no, you felt like that. That's when you were a kid. Somebody's just like, oh, when you're 14, that's you when you're 14. I'm like, what? I'm like 30-something at this point, 32-something. And you're like, look, with no shame. And I was like, this is nonsensical. And then they talk about the stupid thing I did as a kid. I did this dumb thing as a child. A one moment thing. That's the thing. That's the reason why they try to create pattern. I did something to myself. Right? You see, the patterns of what they do is systematic. Almost all target individuals are experiencing this peripheral type of torture. Almost all. You see, pattern. They talk about the peripheral type of torture. Patterns. They are talking about something a kid did one time to himself. And now they try to create patterns. And so the stupid thing I did to myself, it was so stupid. I did something to myself. Matter of fact, this is why I make the second video, because they were trying to create something else. Because they tried to make me think I did something to somebody else. No, I did something to me. As a kid, it's still humiliating, but it's still embarrassing, but a kid can do that. A child. I did something to myself, and that's that. Now, they were trying to say, but, because at the one point I was like looking at it, it's like, but legally, like what will happen to a kid if, let's just say, the police caught or something, they call the police on this? Nothing. They'll call the parents. It's like, look at this kid. They'll maybe like bring this kid, like it was so minuscule, like minimal. I literally looked at like that's how they tried to create this battle, because I didn't know who they were, right? I didn't know these people actually tortured children. I mean, we're talking people who suffocate children using this direct energy. Matter of fact, to counter that right now, they try to speak over me using this V2K. That's what you understand, that these people are obviously involved in programs that torture children. They do horrible. That's why when I look at them and they try, I get aggressive, because I know what this trash do to children. And they try to manipulate me to think in this way to kids, and they talk about what I actually did as a kid. I'm like, what? You are here torturing kids sexually. I look at a bottle sometimes, I just want to throw it at them, because I know what they do to kids. And they're like, well, severe. Oh, food trash. You severely so suffocating kid. That's where they got that word from. They do horrible things to kids, horrible things, and they wanted me to block it out. Now it's like, no, we're going to be severe for what you did to yourself as a kid. Oh, severe. Trash. No, I know you torture children. I rather cut in pieces, but I know what you guys do to kids. These people are torturing kids sexually. You know how disgusting that shit is? I'm sorry for the language. Do you understand? See a grown man to think that I'm going to be like, oh, you're severe. You're in the program that kills kids, you fucking trash. This trash doing this to me, do these things to kids. There are these horrible things I've gone through. Kids have gone through the same things, blinding them. Trash. And they try to play this feminist, like, oh, it's so disgusting. That makes me just want to, like, oh. When you see these women try to be like, all like, protecting of your kids, you know how many kids are. Can you imagine seeing a 7-year-old kid tortured by this bottom feeders? This is why you use these kids to try to block it out. It just, from the bottom, I only feel that aggressive when I think of what they do to kids. I don't care if they're like this, like kids they use to try to counter it, because these kids are in a program that torture kids, and they do that systematically. So I see these bottom feeders for what they are. I could die just thinking about that. It disturbs me. What they are going severe, try to pretend that they're doing it for what I did as a kid with BS thing, as a child who do something stupid, when in reality they're in a program that kills kids. That's slow kill, torture. And they try to be like, oh, full with proof. It's like, let's go. The testimonies of all what you guys do is there. So they're trying to make me think of, like, okay, I'm like, before I knew they were doing these things to kids, I'm like, literally I thought these people maybe, like, I didn't expect how bad these people were in regard of who else they've done it to. I didn't know that. So I'm listening to that. I'm at first like, but I did some stupid things to myself. Like put this in the right perspective, right? Not knowing who I was talking to. And so I'm looking at the legally, like what will happen. I'm like, oh my gosh, this will do that. Oh. Like they'll call the cops. They'll call my parents. They're like, okay, take care, like this, yeah, get him on timeout. So like, it's just that. And while I was doing that, I was also like trying to figure out like stories like about, kids at that age can do stupid things. You hear kids. Now I've gone for like, I started doing like Googling around what kids at that age can do, like problematic moments of there. It can happen one time, it's impulsive. Kids at that age are that. But they'll talk about this woman who did something with her sister when she was really young too, around the same age. She was in bed with, like something happened, right? And now she's a grown woman. and I don't know in what state she was in, and but somehow there they made a like a bigger deal, and it's even now as an adult woman that is still in her like it's she got some record of it, right? And she's like, I'm a grown woman. You talk about something I did as a kid, you know, which is not. It's true. It's come on. It makes sense. But they try to bring it to me. It's like me, you know. I ended up looking it up. They will do absolutely nothing. They'll call the call. They will call my parents. They would say, "Oh, your kid just did this thing to himself? Like, just do something. Like, you put him on timeout or something. Just make sure it doesn't. Like that's how it go. And the truth is, it's something I did once and never happen again. That's reality. Kids do that all the time. It's unfortunate, but that's true. I had to fucking listen to a TED talk about it. I had to listen to a TED talk. This woman who specializes in these things, like kids all the time, can do stupid things like that, and you move on and never think about it. A lot of times it happens like that. Reality. I understand these people don't do that. These people try to get you to think in these disturbing ways. Now, what they're trying to do is like, first of all, they're like, oh, you see, now we're going to put you on record, we're going to frame you because that time's like, oh, get out of here. You torture children. Then they try to be like, what you're experiencing now is like, you see that woman, what if that woman, we came to her and did the same thing we did to her and we started like make her think that, oh, we match it to you when you were a kid. I'll be like, you're making this grown woman think like a kid. You make an adult person think like a child. As young as like, is she 13 or something? You make an adult woman think like a child. That's what you tell me. Are you seriously thinking that makes sense? These people they live off realities, and like now we link them. So you're saying that you're gonna make her experience some things, and then say, oh no, what we're making you experience is what you felt like when you were a kid. Imagine these people have kids, right? I'm sure a lot of them have kids. We're like, oh, we're gonna make you experience thing that you're thinking when you're that person's age. Yeah, you're a child. Oh, what? Obviously, I know. They know this. Because they do the pedophilia type of torture. They force you to experience pedophilia type of tormenting. What I'm experiencing now is not what I experienced when I was a kid. Matter of fact, they're going to me as a child and planting these memories and then make me feel this now. But that alone shows also how illogical that these people think I'm going to be. You are forcing me to experience pedophilia type of torture. It's obvious. Just like you've done that to others. But to think that it's logical to think that somebody who's in his 30s and saying that, oh, no, you thought like that when you were a 13-year-old middle schooler or whatever, or a 9-year-old or 8-year-old elementary student, you felt like that. You should think, you should be subscriptive to that. And they use the warnings of torture. Oh, they're going to torture you. Oh, it's always like that when they try to get you to subscribe to it. Oh, they're going to kill you. It's like, okay. Is that when I'm supposed to think this is naturally happening? Or this makes sense? These people do horrible things. They talk about torch. They radiate children, they burn them. Using this technology. These people are pedophiles. The entities contracting these low lives are actually pedophiles. We're not talking about them, this dumb thing they did as a kid. We'll talk about CIA agents doing things to 2-year-old and 6-year-old. Downloading child porn on these government devices. Many, from DARPA to DOD. Reality is coming to them. And they see it coming too. They know I was going to see the article about this pedophilia issues and agencies. That's why I'm like, you cannot escape reality for too long before it comes back to you. I know the reality I'm in. I cannot escape that. I'm in a reality where I'm a experiment. I'm a subject. I'm a human subject, one of many, where these technologies can be deployed on civilians and manipulate everything about them. Everything. Thoughts, memories, body, organs, whatever. I understand this reality. That means horrible things are going to happen to me because I was put in this program by my old employer. I understand this reality. I don't run for it. I know this one. And this is what, when they do this thing, they do to me. I see them for what they are. Reality is this contracted trash are contracted by these entities such as the DOD and DARPA, where these entities are filled with pedophiles, but they've been doing this nasty manipulation to others. This technology is extremely sophisticated. The sophistication is unbelievable. It can do so much, so much. And they try to use the sophistication of this technology to get you to accept these things. To all my target individuals, stay strong. They tell me how now you're going to frame. These people are in the program that kills kids, huh? These people are forcing you to experience nasty pedophile thoughts toward kids. I'd rather die in jail than having to live their life. You see how illogical they have to be? The worst part is, I think I talked about it and they tried to stimulate me. I was walking with this person. I see this little girl, like 7-year-old little girl. Beautiful little girl. Beautiful little black girl. So you understand, black girl is already, they're already doing pedophile things. And they do the stimulation. I'm like, oh, it's nasty. Disgusting. I see somebody who looks like her father looking at me, it's like high school. I'm like, are you... Because they're trying to make me think that's what you experienced when you were a kid, but they try to make me even older. Talk about high school. They even try to make me think big older. It's like he's such a sad bottom feeder. You are so sad. You're making your child being seen so they can do the pedophile type of torture, and then you try to come and say, no, we're connecting to you when you're a kid, but you try to even add older age so he, like, it looks even more delusional. You work for pedophiles. These entities, this program is renowned for doing the pedophile type of torture. That's why you brought your child. You know that the reaction is going to be that. Because they can manipulate you to experience that. So literally you sold your baby for this trashness. Pedos. They work for pedophiles. I rather get tortured. They talk about sodomites, rape me. I rather get raped than be involved in a program where I'm a father or a self-respected man. Bring my child so this target individual can look at this kid, get the nasty stimulation that they force them to experience, and then be like, no, it's you when you're in high school. Having to even, before, because the reality is they can't even make that happen. They can't even, they have the ability to think, to manipulate your memory. Because high school now, I'm very, like, conscious. I'm like, you're an older kid. At that point, and you cannot even do that. I was like, well, okay, yeah, right. But before that, the memory become a little bit more, so they can create the memory. So high school's like, delusional trash. But then they try to say, but like 13, 14, you can be the high school. I was like, I just turned 14, 13. And I had to Google the age of 8th grader, average age of 8th grader. I had to Google the obvious. Yes, age of 8th grader, the average is 13 and 14, which is the age I was. Do you understand? These people are bottom feeders. Try to come up with ways. Even now, my bottles in my brain. It's so sad. They try to say, but the beginning of your high school, you're like 14 for the first 2 months of your high school. Oh my goodness. This is how pathetic these people are. But to all my target individuals, stay strong. You understand these people are nasty and low life and work for pedophiles. I'm ready for whatever's going to happen. I can't wait to look at and skip to see who's talking to me. I can't wait to see that. These trash have sold their soul to pedophiles and they're here trying to talk about me. We match it to you as a kid. And now they even have to try to create, because before, really, the reality is they talk about in 2001, right? When I was about, 13, 14. And when I was like 9 years old, 8 years old. It's so pathetic. So much I can just stay strong.